Your birthday is coming up, someone smiles and asks, so what's the plan? And you shrug, nothing really, that it's just another day. That answer tends to make people uncomfortable. They tilt their head, they assume you're hiding sadness. Or worse, they think you're trying to be different on purpose. In a world where birthdays are treated like personal holidays, choosing not to celebrate can look suspicious. But here's the truth, skipping your birthday doesn't automatically mean you're lonely, bitter, or disconnected. In fact, for many people it reveals something far more complex. Sometimes it points to resilience, sometimes to independence, and sometimes to a mindset most people never develop. Let's break it down carefully. First, there are people who stopped celebrating because at some point it stopped feeling good. Psychologist Martin Seligman introduced the concept of learned helplessness. When someone experiences repeated disappointment they can't control, the brain adapts. It conserves energy. It lowers expectations. Not out of weakness, but out of protection. Birthdays are built on expectation. You expect people to remember. You expect to feel valued. You expect the day to feel different. When that gap between expectation and reality keeps repeating, the brain adjusts the prediction. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz found that dopamine is less about pleasure and more about prediction. It spikes when reality exceeds expectation. It drops when expectation fails. Over time, if the brain learns that a certain event rarely delivers emotional reward, it simply stops anticipating it. So when someone says, "It's just another day," that sentence might be the result of quiet recalibration. Not indifference, adaptation. Their nervous system decided that hoping hurts more than neutrality. That doesn't make them broken. It makes them efficient, but that's only one group. There's another type of person who skips birthdays for a completely different reason. Their life is full, not emotionally empty, just mentally crowded. Some people experience what psychologists call time blindness. When you're deeply focused on projects, responsibilities, ideas, or long-term goals, dates lose emotional charge. They become coordinates rather than milestones. The calendar keeps moving, but it doesn't feel symbolic. For these individuals, a birthday doesn't register as a moment of identity. It's simply a timestamp. They're not avoiding attention. They're absorbed elsewhere. Their mind prioritizes growth, progress, and momentum over ritual. And then there's a third group. This is where the rare mindset appears. These are people who genuinely do not need a birthday to feel significant. Psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan developed self-determination theory, which suggests that real psychological well-being comes from three core needs: autonomy, competence, and connection. Not from applause, not from ceremony, not from social performance. Some individuals internalize this early. Their sense of worth is not tied to public acknowledgement. They don't need one designated day to validate their existence. They feel stable on an ordinary Tuesday. Researcher Philip Brickman described the hedonic treadmill, the human tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness after positive events. A party feels good briefly, gifts feel good briefly, attention fades quickly. People with this rare mindset recognize that external highs are temporary. Instead of chasing spikes, they cultivate steadiness. That steadiness can look boring from the outside, but internally, it's powerful. Now here's where it gets deeper. Some people opt out of birthdays not because they are free, but because they are afraid. Psychologist Jennifer Crocker studied contingencies of self-worth. She found that when people tie their value to how others respond to them, celebrations can feel risky. If you secretly want the day to matter and it doesn't go perfectly, it can confirm old insecurities. So instead of risking disappointment, some people detach preemptively. They say they don't care. Sometimes they truly don't. Sometimes they're protecting something tender. There's also what researchers call the anniversary effect. Studied extensively at institutions like Johns Hopkins University, emotional memories linked to specific dates can resurface automatically each year. Even if you've moved on logically, your body may remember. For some, a birthday quietly reactivates earlier experiences of being overlooked or unseen, so skipping it can feel safer. Here's the key distinction: is the decision coming from peace or from protection? If it's protection, there's nothing shameful about that. It simply means there's history there. If it's peace, that's where the rare mindset lives. People with that rare mindset understand something subtle. Identity is not annual. Worth is not seasonal. Meaning is not scheduled. They don't outsource their self-recognition to a calendar notification. They don't measure love by how loudly it's expressed once a year. They often express care in quieter, more consistent ways. Ironically, this can unsettle others. When you refuse a ritual most people rely on for validation, it challenges their assumptions. If they need a party to feel seen, and you don't, it forces a question they may not want to ask themselves. But skipping your birthday does not automatically make you emotionally advanced. And celebrating it does not make someone shallow. The rare mindset isn't about rejecting joy. It's about not depending on performance for self-worth. So if you're someone who lets the day pass quietly, ask yourself one honest question. When I say it's just another day, does that feel light or heavy? If it feels light, you may have built an internal anchor most people are still searching for. If it feels heavy, there's room to explore what the day represents for you. Either way, nothing is inherently wrong with you. The world assumes celebration equals self-love. But sometimes the strongest form of self-assurance is not needing the spotlight at all, and that mindset is rarer than people think.